Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Maths Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. So today we're talking about inequalities. We just want to give a brief overview of inequalities because we're going to talk about linear inequalities as well as quadratic inequalities. So it's very important that you try as much as possible to review the previous videos, okay? Try as much as possible to review it, have a look at it, and if you have any question, let me know. Like I always say, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. So when I post new videos, you'll be the first person to know. All right, so we're going to talk about inequalities today. So inequalities in math is like the relationship between two values. So that is values, that means they are not equal, all right? So that means the values are not equal, but we compare these values with either less than, greater than, less than equal to, or greater than equal to, okay? So because I'm aware some of you are writing as well, so I'm going to make a note as well. So when I say inequality in maths, okay? So when I say inequality in maths, this is a relationship. So it's a relationship between two values. Okay? Two values that are not equal. So that means these values so the values we're referring to are not equal, but compare these values with less than, okay, greater than, less than, and equal to. Uh, or greater than and equal to. Or let me say or and equal to. So or equal to. All right, so quickly, I'm going to talk about some of the signs, okay? So majorly, because sometimes some students always ask, oh, Terry, this sign, what does it mean? How will I differentiate a greater than and a less than? What I want you to know is that with this sign we use it for either greater than, less than, or you add an equal to there. But basically, what we do is that the bigger number is written on this side, okay? We write the bigger number here. Then the smaller number is written on this side. Are you seeing it? So, for instance, I can write 5 greater than 3. You can write 3 greater than 5 because 5 is bigger than 3. So this is not correct. This is correct. Or you can say 3 is less than 5. Are you seeing it? So no matter what happens, you put a smaller number in this point here. The wider part has a bigger number, all right? So just to remind ourselves, I will just introduce the few concepts there. So I'm going to talk about the concept of greater or less than. Okay. What does it mean of greater or less than? So this is greater or less than. So greater than or less than symbol. So they are used to show the relative size of numbers. So they are used to show the relative size of numbers. Okay, they're used to show the relative size of numbers. So for example, or size of numbers, or some people can call it set of numbers. Okay, so I'll pick, for example, now we can say 5 is greater than 3. Are you seeing it? So, or you can say 7 is less than 2. You can still rewrite this as 3 is less than 5, or you can say 2 is less than 7. So like I always say, the bigger number is always on the wider part, and the smaller number is always on the what? The pointed part there. Number 2, we have greater and equal. Or less than and equal. Okay, so for example, it's written like this. So this is greater than, right? But this time you add a slash here, so it's going to be greater than equal, or you have less than or equal. All right. So this now shows the relative size similar to the first one, but the only thing is also including the number itself. Does that make sense? So that means the number is part of the solution. In this case, the number is not part. So if, for instance, we say, e.g., x, for example, we say x is greater than 7. So that means it is any other number above 7, but 7 is not part. Is that okay? 7 is not part. But this is different here. So in this case here, if you have 7, x is greater or equal to 7. So that means 7 also is part of the solution. Is that okay? So I'm going to write this down. So that means we can now say it shows as well the relative size of a set of number okay, including the number itself, okay? So includes also the number itself. So for instance, like I said, if we have x is greater or equal to 3, so that means in the solution, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 till infinity, all right? Then, or if you say x is less than or equal to, so that means 2 is part of the solution. So that means you have something like 1, 2, 1, 0, -1, all till infinity. Okay? So like in this case, now you have 5 greater than 3. Okay? So that means 3 is not part of 5. Does that make sense? So that means when you don't have the equal to sign, that value is not part of it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to quickly write down what we're going to discuss in this series, okay? So what we'll discuss. So things we're going to discuss in this series. So the first one I'm going to talk about, things to note. All right, there are some things to note that changes the sign or direction of the signs. So things to note on changes to inequalities direction. So there are some things you need to note that change the inequalities direction. I'm going to talk about things that affect, okay? Things that affect and do not affect. So things that do not affect the change of direction. So I'm going to talk about the things that affect the change of inequality direction. And I'm going to talk about things that do not affect, okay? I'm going to talk about this too. Okay. After that, I'm going to talk about the concept of two inequalities at once. Okay, I'll talk about the concept of two inequalities at once. Then after which I will talk about the types. Okay, I'll talk about the types of inequalities. I will solve some questions on that. I'm going to talk about the linear inequality, the concept of linear inequality, and the concept of what? Quadratic what? Inequality. Then when we are done with that, I'm going to end it up with graphing. How to graph inequalities. So we're going to talk about how do you graph the linear, and also how do you graph the what? The quadratic. Quadratic. Okay, and that'll be that for that. So these are the 4 things I'm going to talk about. Things to note on changing to inequality direction. The concept of two inequalities at once. What do you do? Types of inequalities, and also the graphing of inequalities. All right. So we're gonna go straight to that. So I'm going to start with things that to note on the changes of inequalities direction. From there, we'll build it up from there. So if you've not reviewed the previous video, it's better you do so, especially when we get to the graphic. You need to know how to sketch both linear and quadratic. I have a video on that, so go and watch it. So make sure you've watched the previous video before coming here so that you will understand what we're doing. All right, so I'll see you in the next video. If you've not subscribed, please do so. Click on the notification bell. So if I upload the new videos, you'll be the first person to know. All right, see you soon.